So everyone knows that the Oklahoma City Thunder at one point in time had 3 future MVPs on their roster. With first being, of course, Kevin Durant, one of the greatest players in NBA history, 2 Finals MVPs. Whether those were legitimate or not is up to you, but he's still great. And next it was Russell Westbrook, one of the most athletic players ever and Mr. Triple-Double for a long time. And then there was James Harden, one of the most gifted offensive players of all time. But a series of unfortunate events and losing led to this, which led to this, and ultimately led to this. However, the one consolation that we have now is a great young core, and that all starts with our man Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He was on All-NBA first team this year, one of the best players in the league, our franchise guy. But if we look at someone like Josh Giddey, who has a lot of potential to be one of the best players in the NBA someday. He has a lot of size and length at the point guard position, and he's also one of the most skilled and crafty players in the game already with his high IQ, great passing, and ever so growing offensive game. Next is Jalen Williams, who you could argue was the second best rookie in the NBA last season after he showed his athleticism, defensive versatility, high IQ, and ever-improving jump shot. Next is Lou Dort, who you just saw knock down a three-point shot, which he's always improving upon, with him being one of the best 3D players in basketball today. Then there's Chet Holmgren, who missed his entire rookie season with injury, but he will return for this upcoming NBA season. Coming into last season's drafts, Chet was one of the most highly touted prospects, but also one of the most controversial ones due to his lack of strength at his towering 7-foot frame. But if we ignore that and we just look at his game, he has great defensive instincts. He could put the ball on the floor and create his own shot, which not many people at his size and length in the NBA can do. Next, there's Isaiah Joe, who was a knockdown shooter for the Thunder last year, with him shooting about 40% from behind the arc. And with us having all this great young talent and a plethora of draft capital going from the future, it got me thinking, why don't we use some of it and make a splash and land a guy like Jaylen Brown, who's been rumored to be moved this offseason after his abysmal Eastern Conference Finals performance, and the fact that his contract is up after next year, and the Celtics are going to have to pay him an insane amount of money to keep him on the team. And I'm not sure Boston is willing to do that, considering they are still going to have to give their other star, Jason Tatum, a supermax contract in the nearby future. But before we look deeper into that, we're going to give some of our draft capital to a rebuilding Detroit Pistons team that lacks depth, in order to move up and take a better prospect for us, and to kind of kickstart Detroit's rebuild. And the draft picks of this point are no surprise: Vic, Miller, Scoot being taken with the first 3, and Cason Wallace going with the 4th pick. And looking at the prospects on the board, we decided to take Jared Walker because he has both offensive and defensive versatility, which is a great sign for things to come considering his strength at a very young age. We decided to bring back everyone you see on screen right now. And speaking of trade value, this is what the package we put together to land Jaylen Brown looked like. Josh Giddey, one of the best young players in the league, and the Celtics finally getting a dynamic playmaker. Lou Dort, with him being a great role player, and his contract needed to make the money work. And 4 future first-round picks is what it took to land our guy, Jaylen Brown. And with that, we've already created one of the best duos in the NBA. And in other news, we will be sending 2 of our players to the Wizards in exchange for a second-round pick to clear some cap space going into free agency. We will also be sending one of our best role players in Kenrich Williams to Philly to clear more cap room because he's on a 4-year contract. Yes, we did have to throw in a future first-round pick, but thanks to Sam Presti, we had plenty of those. And the man that we will be spending our money on in free agency is Jakob Poeltl, and he will bring instant toughness, size, and interior defense to this team, which is something that we have lacked the past couple of years. This is what our rotation will look like for season number 1, with our 2 stars Shai and Jaylen Brown getting heavy minutes, but also enough minutes to get some of our younger players plenty of reps. And as you quickly can see, the Jaylen Brown trade and the Jakob Poeltl signing seems to be paying major dividends for the team, with us already being one of the best teams in the league, and with us being the top seed out west at the trade deadline. However, we are the 4th best team in the league record-wise, with 3 teams out east being better than us, and out west we have the Lakers, Suns, and Pelicans not far behind us. If we take a look at our team stats, we are the 2nd best offensive team and the 4th best defensive team, with us having the third best point differential in the NBA. Looking at our individual player statistics, we see Jaylen Brown being our leading scorer so far, and him doing that on crazy good efficiency while also giving his signature great hustle and perimeter defense. And our other star, SGA, is having a somewhat down year, at least scoring the basketball, but is taking huge strides in the playmaking department and is improving his efficiency while doing so. In more depressing news, Jalen Williams hasn't taken a jump in his second year of play so far, with him having about the same numbers as he did in his rookie year, but on worse splits. And our three-point specialist, Isaiah Joe, isn't sort of the same mold as Williams, with his efficiency numbers going down as his opportunity has increased. In better news, our guy Chet is living up to his number 2 overall pick status, with him being efficient as a rookie while giving us great defense, and he's also made 92 three-pointers so far on good percentage. The same cannot be said for our other rookie, Jared Walker, with him shooting poorly from deep, but he's still shooting pretty well for a rookie while giving us some decent production. Our signing Jakob Poeltl has come in and done what I expected him to do, which is to be one of the best big man role players in the league. Our fan favorite Poku hasn't been shooting that well for us so far this season, sadly. But our backup point guard, Terrence Mann, has been giving us some good and efficient minutes coming off the bench for us. And the other Jalen Williams on this team has been shooting terribly for us, especially for a center in this league. And as we head towards the end of this season, we sort of slow down and come back to earth a bit, with us finishing with a 48-34 record and getting the second seed in the conference. And shout out to Darius Garland for having arguably the greatest MVP season of anyone in NBA history. And as we look at the All-NBA teams, we get snubbed from anyone on the NBA teams or the defensive teams, but we get Chet on the All-Rookie first team, and we get our rookie this year, Jared Walker, on the All-Rookie second team. And as the second seed in this ultra-competitive Western Conference, we will be taking on the Dallas Mavericks, who still have Luka and Kyrie, so that's not good for us. And looking at the player stats from the end of the season, we see Shea overtook Jaylen Brown in scoring, but not by a wide margin, so there's no cause for concern really. And if we simulate game 1, we get blown out. If we look at the box score, Luka didn't even have one of his signature crazy games. Norman Powell just had a really efficient game. And looking at game 2, we lose a close one. And it just looks like our players aren't shooting enough, and Kyrie just had a great game, I guess, with Luka not popping off. The same can be said for game 3. Luka had a triple-double, but he didn't shoot well, and we just got outplayed. We got blown out. But I did notice that Chet is playing horrifically bad in these playoffs so far. And unfortunately for your Oklahoma City Thunder, we get bounced and swept in the first round in embarrassing fashion. And if we take a deeper look at the playoff stats, Jaylen Brown and Shea, they shot well from the field. They just didn't shoot enough, which was a big problem when everyone else on the team underperformed and shot terribly, such as Jalen Williams shooting 28% from the field. I know we got swept in the first round as a second seed, but they were only back by about 5-6 games, which isn't a crazy amount. And if we simulate through the rest of the playoffs, we see a 2021 Finals rematch with the Warriors taking the crown again. But Josh Giddey got to the finals before us, and he played damn well on the way towards it. And if we look at the draft lottery, we have the 12th and 13th picks in the first round, which is great for us. It's bad for the Lakers and Rockets though, along with 2 second-round picks as well. And as I was looking at the prospects at pick 12, nothing really caught my eye, so I got the idea of trading for someone like a Mikal Bridges. With him having a really down year from 2022 in Brooklyn this year and him hitting the free agency market when his contract's up, I decided to give them 5 first-round picks and our late first-round pick from last year to land Mikal. If we go to team player options, we're going to bring back everyone here because once again, all these guys are young, all these guys were picked early, and they all have great trade value. And I was also willing to give Poku the qualifying offer. But our biggest offseason goal was to re-sign Jaylen Brown to a max contract, which we fortunately did. And we brought Poku back on the qualifying offer. And if we look at player progression, all of our players are moving up, no one's regressing. We're looking great for the future. And this is what our rotation is going to look like for next season, with us looking to improve on a great last season, at least regular season, with the new addition of Mikal Bridges and everyone having more experience on the team. And once we start simulating this season, we come out to a somewhat decent start, but I'm sure that's just, getting the team chemistry down. We start really picking up some steam. And arguably, we're looking like the best team in the league right now, with us being number one in the conference and beating teams like the Bucks, Celtics, Nuggets, Mavericks, who gave us troubles last year. And furthermore, the trade deadline, we're 42-12, which is good for the second best record in the league. And then it starts with our franchise player Shai, with his scoring going down again, but again, his playmaking's getting better, and he's shooting 50-40-90 splits, which is insane. And we see Jaylen Brown having another great efficient season, and the same type of thing from Mikal. He stepped up his play from last year, and he's shooting great from the field. Now we see Chet's three-point efficiency going down a little bit, but his rebounding, blocks, and his overall field goal percentage has increased, which I'm happy. But in somewhat surprising news, we see Jalen Williams regressing even more than he did last season, but I'm sure he's still giving us all on the defensive end, which is good. And sort of the same can be said about Jared Walker, who's not really improving. And our sharpshooter, Isaiah Joe's back at a 40% from deep, but Trey Mann is kind of falling off a cliff, at least efficiency. One block of consistency for us is Jakob Poeltl, of course. He's playing great. However, I felt this team needed something else to put us over the top and be real championship contenders. And that something was a trade with the Utah Jazz to bring in Lauri Markkanen and Emmanuel Quickley, who are both having down years respectively, and they're on a losing team, so we could use them. And in exchange, they got some picks and young players to start their rebuild. Our updated rotation looks like, with us looking like real threats now to win the whole thing. And as we simulate the rest of the season, we stay red high. Lauri Markkanen and Emmanuel Quickley must have fit perfectly together, and we end up as the 1 seed. Out west, having the tie for the best record in the league with the Cavs. And in this time in the first round, we're going to be taking on a Phoenix Suns team that still has their core of Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, and DeAndre Ayton, so they're a threat. We win game 1 off of the back of a great Shai game and Jaylen Brown game and Jalen Williams game. He stepped up his game. It's great to see. All of our guys did their thing, and Booker and KD tried, but they lost. And in the second game, we win. We blow them out off of the back of an insane Mikal Bridges game, which is great to see him stepping up the playoffs. But they do take a game from us, but not to worry. It's only one game and it was only by 4 points. And we win game 4, and we eventually win the series. Now we're taking on a Lakers team that has potentially the best 3, 4, 5 in basketball, and LeBron, KP, and AD. And we win game 1 after a pretty well-rounded performance from our guys. And for the Lakers, Diallo was their best scorer, so that must tell you something about how that game went for them. And we saw more of the same in game 2, with Shai having an excellent game and AD and LeBron pretty much being contained. But things start to change. Game 3, LeBron has an all-time performance, and some random role player drops 28 in our heads somehow. And we also end up losing game 4. But we win game 5 off the back of an insane Shai game with Jaylen Brown struggling, but that doesn't matter. And we end up winning the series in 6 games. And again, we saw Shai have an all-time performance in the closeout game. But now, our next task is the always difficult Denver Nuggets, who have Russell Westbrook for some reason, which is a very weird fit. And KCP's pretty much fallen off a cliff offensively, but they still have Jokic, MPJ, and Gordon. And we see them take game 1, even after a great performance from Shai. But we take game 2, we blow them out, we get our revenge, we take home court. And so far in the series, I've noticed that Jokic hasn't been popping off the way he usually does in real life. In game 3, we win. Jokic just having an amazing game, but it just looks like we're too much to handle for the Nuggets right now. And in game 4, to go up 3-1, we see they do have Domantas Sabonis, which is really weird, but we also see we contain Jokic to only having 16 points, which is great for us. And we eventually close out this series in 5 games off of an all-time performance from Shai having 46 and 16 in the closeout game. And now we play with arguably the best team in the league in the Cleveland Cavaliers, with Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell being all-time great scorers at this point in their careers, and Jonathan Isaac being a great 3D player for them, and Evan Mobley and Jared Allen being lockdown defenders. With all that said, though, we do take game one, even though Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell and Evan Mobley to a certain extent had great games, but we just are the overall deeper team. And then it starts to happen. We take game two, even though Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell are trying their hardest, we're just too much. We win game three like that. Even though Donovan Mitchell tried his hardest, putting up 41 points in game three, but Darius Garland only shooting 6 for 21. And you knew this was going to happen. We sweep them, and we are your 2025, I believe, NBA champions. Thank you for watching this video, and until next time.